Okay, it's Sunday again, and we had a few games of 40k last week. Still to put the reports up. Just with a friend of ours, he's really into 40k, so we pulled out our 40k armies. So I'll hopefully upload those sometime today or tomorrow. But we're back to fantasy now because he's gone. So we've got a game lined up. It's 2,400. So said that he kind of preferred those games with ogres. He said he thought they were more optimal at this level. So we're playing small games at 2,400. Must admit I quite like that level as well. So it's size ogres. I think he's got the same list he had against the Bretonians a few weeks ago. And I'm playing dwarves again. There's no proxies this time, which is nice. Converted up some hammerers and that. So I'll run you through the list. We have 10 thunderers, a cannon, 20 hammerers with dwarf lord on shield bearers, an organ gun which has been entrenched by the master engineer, 25 warriors with the BSB, grudge thrower, another grudge thrower, 20 warriors with great weapons, 10 more thunderers, and another cannon with assorted runes. Quite common runes for these things. I'm sure anyone who plays dwarves will know what I'm talking about. And the lord's, he's got a fair number of runes as well, so I'll find out soon enough. So that's it. So I'll pass you over to Si to do his deployment. Roll to see who goes first. Unfortunately, Si won the roll, even though I finished deploying first by rolling a 6. So I'll hand you over to Si.
Okay, as Ollie said, my army is unchanged from the Bretonians. So over here on my left flank we have a Saber Tusk. Then I have my BSB's unit. He's in second rank because there is a full command of Iron Guts. There is 11 of them plus the BSB. And then basically deployed inside the building here is another unit of 11 Iron Guts with full command, which has my level 4 Slaughtermaster. I have my Iron Blaster, which is just hiding around, so try and avoid at least some of the cannon fire from Ollie's dwarves. And then I have my unit of Mournfang and my Stonehorn, and then right over here, which just for deployment's sake, is another Saber Tusk. And I got lucky, rolled a 6, so we will see you at the end of Ogre's turn 1. Okay, end of Ogre's turn 1. Basically everyone marched forward their full distance. Obviously these guys are still in the building, as they can't move out in their first turn. But yeah, basically everyone moved up. In the magic phase I managed to roll a 3, so we were on equal pegging, and I managed to get Troll Guts cast using Grutsicle, so I have actually wounded my unit. And then in the shooting phase I missed with the harpoon launcher on here. I fired at the thunderers, and then just came just an inch short from hitting the cannon with my Iron Blaster. So I was a little bit disappointed, but hey, I only managed to do 1 wounds myself, which is considerably better than the last game of Fantasy Battle that I played.
You still did more wounds yourself than me, so.
Yeah, so but it wasn't 17 wounds like it was last time, so I can live with that. And I've still got my caster on the first turn, so I'm actually quite positive. That is the end of Ogre's turn 1, and we'll see you at the end of Dwarf turn 1.
Okay, it's the end of Dwarves turn 1. I just moved everything back a tiny little bit for the 3 infantry blocks. Obviously no magic, and so I went straight to the shooting. This cannon, which has the flaming rune, shot at his Mournfang, did a wound, or killed one outright, sorry, and removed his regen. Then the thunderers shot at them, I think maybe did a wound. Then the organ gun fired, so it's got 6 hits, I think it did 4 wounds. Then this cannon fired at the Mournfang as well, at the last 2 remaining. Got a flank shot on it and killed them both, so the Mournfang completely gone. which is obviously really good news for me because they were going to be in my face this next turn. So, and then remainder of the shooting, I fired the ruined up grudge thrower, the one with +2 strength at these guys, targeting his BSB just because he was in the middle. And actually failed his lookout, sir, much to his disgust. Then failed his ward save. Then I rolled to wound. Well, rolled to wound. Then he failed his ward save. And then I rolled a 1, so he only did 1 wound. So he got off lightly there. And I think it killed 2 ogres. And then the other one fired. Same thing. Passed his lookout, sir, this time, and did another 3 wounds. Killed another ogre. Forced a panic test, but they passed. And then the thunderers shot at them as well. Oh no, sorry, they didn't. They fired at the saber tusk just to get rid of it. And that was it. So end of Dwarves turn 1. Really glad those Mornfang are gone, but there's still a big unit of Iron Guts there, which is bad news. And that Stonehorn's pretty nasty as well. So have to see what happens in Ogres turn 2.
Okay, end of Ogres turn 2. Slightly, well, quite disappointing to be honest. After losing my Mornfang cavalry, I had to get some charges in. Basically, the Stonehorn charged at the Thunderers, who then decided to flee sensibly. Although Ollie was lucky enough to roll like an inch under what he needed to stop them bouncing off the board. But it managed to redirect quite nicely into the Lord's unit. Then basically everyone else, this unit tried to charge the other unit Thunderers who bounced off the board. I then tried to redirect into the BSB's unit, but didn't roll high enough, so they just lurched forward a bit. The Slaughtermaster's unit came out of the finally came out of the building, and the Iron Blaster moved up. Magic Phase, I managed to get off 2 spells. I got Spine Marrow and Bull Gorger on the Stonehorn. Nice stubborn and toughness, strength 7. So I thought, I'll be able to hand out some pretty epic damage. However, he absolutely whiffed. I basically managed to do 3 wounds, and Ollie and I worked it out. I should have, on average, I should have done, I should have killed 10 guys, and I killed 3. It was an absolutely pathetic display of dice rolling. And then to cap it off, Ollie rolled just a little bit above average and wiped it out, which was very disappointing because I was hoping that it would at least die in his turn and basically hold him up. But it wasn't to be. There was a little consolation because in the shooting phase I did manage to kill that cannon, which was rather nice. But yeah, rather disappointing because the Stonehorn, for once, this is the first time it's really seriously underperformed because in previous games it's wiped out a quarter of a massive horde of Black Orcs with relative ease. Yeah. And just absolutely romped through whatever it's hit. And unfortunately it came up against Dwarves and stunk. So yeah, a bit disappointed, but that's the game. So yeah, it's end of Ogre's turn 2, and it will now be Dwarf's turn 2 next.
Okay, so it's end of Dwarf turn 2, and one of the things we realised is Ogres vs Dwarves is quite quick. So in my turn, I I'm not even sure I moved these a little bit further forwards, and that was about it. These guys rallied. Obviously couldn't shoot. Then in my shooting phase, the grudge throwers fired at this unit. The strength 5-1 managed to scatter off, but hit centre on his champion, which was quite nice. Passed his lookout, sir, and just killed, I think, 2 ogres. And then the other grudge thrower got a hit on these guys. Passed his lookout, sir, just did some wounds and lowered them a bit. The organ gun fired, only got 2, so I re-rolled it, rolled 2 again. That just did 1 more wound. And then, so they're 1 wound away from taking panic tests. I thought, fire the cannon as well. fired the cannon, rolled a misfire, not a problem. Got a rune of forging, rolled another misfire. Luckily rolled a 6, so it's didn't blow up or anything. But yeah, I didn't get that shot off, which I really needed, just to do the extra wound to force a panic test, which would have been lovely. So yeah, so that wasn't so good. Certainly wasn't the best round of shooting. So I've got 2 nasty ogre blocks staring at me now, which is bad times. So let's see what Sai does in his turn 3.
Okay, that is the end of Ogre's turn 3. A very, very disappointing turn. Basically, I needed a 13-inch charge for both my iron gut units, which is like an average dice roll. Should be a piece of piss. Unfortunately, yeah, failed both. So that might have cost me the game, depending on how Ollie's next turn goes. And then just to hammer one final nail into the coffin, I managed to hit the grudge thrower there, but I only managed to do it 2 wounds. So really the only chance I had was to try and whittle down his artillery enough that he was doing less damage to me, because it's possible with 1 grudge thrower, 1 cannon and 1 organ gun, minimise the amount of attacks against me, and my guys might have survived unscathed. But yeah, unless Ollie gets a really, really piss poor round of shooting, I think that might have done me. But yeah, on the plus side, I did manage to get spine marrow and ball gorger off on these units. Unfortunately, troll guts isn't much cop at the moment, because just the sheer number of flaming attacks, flaming shooting attacks that Ollie can bring to bear is just nullifies its entire effectiveness. So yeah, a bit disappointing on in that respect. So yeah, we'll have to see what Dwarves do on turn 3.
Okay, it's the end of Dwarves turn 3. I moved this unit up relatively aggressively. They've moved almost the whole march movement. Okay, so that was it for movement and magic. So the shooting phase. Thunderers fired at the guts, did a wound. The organ gun fired at these guys, killed an ogre. The grudge throwers fired at these. The strength 5 ones scattered off even after the reroll. Oh no, it didn't. It did actually hit. It just skimmed them, I think. No. I'm trying to remember now.
No, it did. It managed to do several.
Hit the champion, didn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, it hit the champion. He passed his lookouts, and it did 4 wounds. Or did 5 wounds, and he passed 1 save because he assigned 1 to this guy. And he had the armour of destiny. So, and the other one scattered off, but did still skim 2 of them and did a strength 4 hit to 2 guys. So yeah, so his unit's looking like that. Then I thought I'll assassinate his champion and his BSB with my cannon. Yeah, so I've got it just right. And then for the second roll, I rolled a misfire. So it's alright. It's got a rune of forging on, no problem. Surely won't do it twice.
That's 4 misfires in 3 rounds of shooting.
So 4 misfires, yeah. So obviously I bought this cannon off of Sai at some point. So I'm what?
Obviously bought it
would have been beautiful.
Bought it from the same people I got my Skaven cannons from.
Yeah. So this one is not. I'm not happy with that cannon. But anyway, so it wasn't quite the epic round of shooting, but that means Sai's in with a chance now, because I fluffed all my attacks. So yeah, so it's now Ogre's turn 4. Okay, end of Ogre's turn 4. I actually managed to get some charges off this time. Basically, the Sabertusk charged into the Thunderers. Managed to kill one of the Thunderers. Ollie got jammy and wiped it out. Pain in the arse. But over here, this unit was absolutely rolled pathetically again, and just ground to a halt. I don't know what the hell's going on with these guys. It's bad times. They're probably just stopping to eat all the iron guts that the dwarves keep killing. So yeah, they just aren't going anywhere.
Over here, however, I managed to get a nice dual charge in. I got a flank with the Iron Blaster, and I got a good charge in with the Iron Guts. The Iron Blaster did its best to screw me over, only rolling a 1 for the impact hits, though it did wound. I managed to kill another few dwarves with the Rhinox and the Ogre. Then I had some luck and actually managed to kill 8 dwarves as well with the Iron Guts. So all in all, I managed to inflict 16 casualties on his unit after stomps and stuff, and I lost 2 ogres in return. So I won the combat by 12 and sent him packing. And then I overran forward a little bit. Well, unfortunately, I don't think it's quite enough. I was hoping to maybe try and get into combat with the grudge thrower over there, but it wasn't to be. So things are rounding off. It's likely to be a relatively quick next couple of turns. So we'll just have to see how the ogres manage to do. Whether we can eke a win out, or whether I'm kind of screwed and just down to whittling as much down as possible. So we'll see at the end of Dwarves turn 4.
Okay, it's the end of Dwarves turn 4. The Hammerers charged into his Iron Blaster, and these guys just moved back a tiny bit, and the Rune Priest got out, and that was it. And then for the shooting phase, the grudge throwers fired at these. The first one scattered, and then the strength 5-1 hit. He passed his ward save on his BSB, so obviously he doesn't get lookout Sir now. Then I managed to do 1 wound with the splash. The organ gun opened up on these guys. I think did 5 wounds, so killed an ogre, forced a panic test, but he passed it. The cannon didn't misfire this time, so I thought I'll assassinate his champion and BSB for the 3rd time, because I just still don't have a lookout Sir. So I rolled a 2, and then I rolled another 2, so the cannonball just went blue, blue, blue. So someone's forgot to put some powder in that thing. So that's 3 turns of not actually doing anything, but not having the decency to blow up either. So that's pretty annoying. And that was it. So, and then in close combat, I managed to do 4 wounds to this thing. 1 from the Lord and 3 from the Hammerers. He killed a couple in return, but I won the combat. He failed his test, even with the reroll. I think he did 3. And then I pursued and then went into the flank of these guys, but he managed to get away. So, because actually rolled enough to catch it, but I had to hit these guys first. So, they're in the flank there, and now it's Sly's turn. So, Ogre's turn 5, and I think he's quite demoralised at this point. I've been rather lucky, so we'll see. So, Ogre's turn 5.
Okay, end of Ogre's turn 5. Basically I charged in with my extremely dilapidated unit of Iron Guts, and I managed to even fluffed a few attacks, managed to do significant number of wounds with the unit, and actually managed to win the combat. However, he was steadfast 9 without a reroll, though, thankfully. And as any good Space Marine player knows, leadership 9 is practically a guaranteed fail. So unfortunately for Ollie, he failed it, bounced straight off the board, and I overran just enough to take me into the grudge thrower, which is rather nice. Over here, was extremely disappointing because Ollie whiffed a hell of a lot of attacks and only managed to do 4 wounds. And rather disgustingly, I whiffed them back, and I managed to lose combat by just enough that I couldn't reform. Even though they're stubborn, I just couldn't reform and get in there. So that's pretty much, I think, the end of that unit. Which is very disappointing because there was the chance dangled in front of me like a nice juicy tasty carrot, but fortune, being the cruel bastard, decided I'd had my next decade's worth of luck in the game against Scott, and yeah, so that was me buggered. So yeah, I'm pretty much at the mercy of these dwarves next turn, and I doubt they're going to fluff like they did this turn. So yeah, bad times. So yeah, that is the end of Ogres turn 5, and it's now Dwarves turn 5.
Okay, it's the end of Dwarves turn 5. Fired my Grudge Thrower at his cannon. It blew itself up, which was nice. Then the cannon finally did something and actually killed it. Thunderers had nothing to do. And then in close combat, the Grudge Thrower, he challenged my Master Engineer and killed him, and killed a dwarf. That was stubborn 9, and I failed it with a double six. So I was destroyed. So I managed to get a reform. So I reformed to face my cannon, which is bad news. And then in this close combat, I managed to butcher the rest of his unit and put another 2 wounds on the Slaughtermaster. So he's got 1 left. But he was stubborn 8 and he passed it. So
now, do we now have to roll to see whether that's the end of the game?
No, so it just goes 6 turns. Yeah. So there's another turn. So he's probably going to score a cannon, and I'm probably going to score his Slaughtermaster. So yeah. So Ogres turn 6. So I can hold on a little bit longer.
Okay, end of Ogres turn 6, and yeah, basically I charged in, wiped out the cannon, reformed to face the Runesmith, or Rune Lord, sorry. The Slaughtermaster was absolutely pathetic in close combat. Really extremely disappointed with how it's gone over this side. Very disappointed. Yeah, and he just died without doing anything. I attempted to cast Troll, like the big version of Troll Guts, stuck all 6 dice on it, but yeah, I didn't get a miscast, so Ollie was able to get it dispelled with a rune. And yeah, that was basically the end of him, because then he had no chance of survival. So yeah, it leaves basically only the BSB and the Iron Gut champion to face down the rest of what is not that much of a dwarf force anymore. So that is my only consolation. So yeah, it's now Dwarf's turn 6.
Okay, the end of Dwarf turn 6. The Runesmith just moved around here, and then I pointed my organ gun at him and shot. Managed to kill the champion, getting the points for that unit, and he passed 3 ward saves on his bruiser, which has never happened.
4 up ward saves, which is like a ward save I barely ever make.
So he took another wound, but he's still alive. So yeah, so I'll let you side talk you through, but I think it's probably his turkey of the match, even though he survived the whole game. Right, so clear victory to the Dwarves. I'm not sure by how much, but there's probably about 500 points there, 120 there, 145, plus I killed his general, so yeah, I mean that's a clear, and he's probably like 200-300 points.
Well, yeah, he's about 200 points, I think.
Yeah, so
yeah.
So yeah, really good game. I think obviously I destroyed him in the first couple of turns, which is pretty much what Dwarves are for. But it just shows you just a few ogres can really wreck things for you, especially when you play a steadfast 9. But yeah, I mean he sorted me out even with the few he got across. And as I was saying aside, Dwarves rely on that shooting. I know it looks scary in the first couple of turns when Dwarves are just ruining you, but I mean, Si had bad luck. He failed like 3 charges, and he still managed to wipe out most of my army. So, you know, ogres are pretty scary. But at the end of the day, let's just have a review of units. So the hammer is obviously men of the match for me. They just stomp through everything. The Dwarf Lord helped protect them, because obviously there's less attacks back against the unit. I was actually planning to charge him out against the Stonehorn earlier, but I forgot to take him out of the unit. So, but as it turns out, that worked out alright for me. The artillery did amazingly well. Apart from that cannon, they whittled him down just enough for me to have a chance. Obviously, the Warriors are good, but they obviously failed that Steadfast 9. Otherwise, I think they would have been okay. The unit with the BSB didn't do so well. I mean, he reduced me past Steadfast quite quickly. I think if I'm going to take a unit that can't dish it out, it needs to be bigger. So I might have to rethink that. I was kind of thinking about putting Iron Breakers in instead, because they have a slightly better armour save. But size stuff is all strength 6, so it probably wouldn't have helped that much. Plus I needed to fill up core anyway. The Organ Gun did pretty well, killed a fair few things. The Thunderers didn't really do a lot, but they
did fairly well. They chipped
killed
away.
Saber Tusk.
Well, they chipped away at the Ogres, which is kind of really what you want.
Yeah. But yeah, they didn't do so well this game, but they did remarkably well last game, didn't they? I kind of think that the crossbow guys are better, but these are the models I have, so I'm going to carry on using them. The other Thunderers just suffered. Well, they killed a Saber Tusk and then suffered from my stupid deployment by putting that Grudge Thrower just behind the unit, because I was planning to flee through the unit, thus getting him a failed charge and saving my unit. But because I put the Grudge Thrower there, they fled right off the board, so that was just stupid. And yeah, I really like the Lord build. He's just untouchable. Not that anyone ever attacked him, but it's just nice to know that he's basically like a spirit host for 300 points. So he's pretty good against anything without any combat res, and he can dish it out a little bit as well. And also the cannon. This cannon is the turkey of the match, rolling like 4 misfires in a row pretty much, even runed up, and then rolling a double 2 when I needed like 8 to get maximum profit and actually kill this guy as well. So yeah, the cannon's in my bad books, but then one cannon versus size like, I don't know, like 100 games with a million misfires, so I probably shouldn't complain too much, not in front of him at least. But yeah, so I really like this Dwarf army. It was really fun. I'm not sure how fun it was for Si, but I shall pass it over to him and he can tell you what he thought of the game. But certainly for me, most enjoyable game, and I really like to see it when it's not ridiculously, like me just destroying him. That was pretty close. And he had a lot of bad luck, so that's why I think he could have had a really good chance of wiping me out if he wasn't quite so unlucky. But yeah, I'm sure he'll tell you about that. So yeah, so I'll hand it over to Si.
Yeah, it was. I very much enjoyed this game too. I mean, yeah, it was good. I mean, like I say, it is very, very nasty to have to deal with such good artillery pieces. Like losing my Mornfang in my first turn is very, very painful. Because obviously, had the Mornfang got a good charge off on even the Dwarf Lord's unit, that would have seen enough hammers gone to hopefully render them pretty much useless for the rest of the game. But yeah, the odd, well, I wouldn't say the odds are against me because it's pretty even, to be fair. Working it out, the averages pretty much do Mornfang every time. You just need enough artillery to do the job, which dwarves obviously have. I think the only thing that really screwed me over was charges. Had I got those 2 second turn charges, I think the game would have been very, very different. Because I would have been into his battle line straight away, and I would have just hopefully ripped through those 2 warrior units. I mean, like Dolly said, he got unlucky and rolled some pretty bad panic break tests. But kind of, I would have figured that at the very least they wouldn't have been getting shot up, and I should have pretty rapidly whittled them down to the point where they would have fled, and then I would have been onto his artillery and going through. There was some other disappointing stuff. The Stonehorn was terrible this game. I never expected him to win against the Dwarf Lord unit. I mean, I was hoping that he was I was going to use him what I tended to use him against the Orcs, which is to take his nice powerful unit and smash them to pieces, so that then I could then come back and use the rest of the guys once they'd finished working their way through Ollie's right flank. and basically go and sort of chop and then bring all my power to bear against a very dilapidated unit. That was the plan. However, unfortunately, yeah, the Stonehorn whiffed pretty badly. I must admit, I didn't expect him to die quite that quickly. It was only a little bit above average, to be fair, but I kind of hoped that he would last until the next turn and keep him in place. The Saber Tusk, well, I sent the Saber Tusk in against those guys. I didn't really have any illusions that they were gonna get butchered and sent packing. I did, however, think that at worst I'd hold them up, but yeah, it was a bit pathetic really. I got one wound and then turned around and be slotted by the only two guys that could strike back is a little annoying. Yeah, other than that, I think it was really just the failed charges over in the corner there that lost me the game.
Yeah, I think that's all you did wrong with those charges.
Yeah, I mean,
3 times in a row.
yeah, very, very disappointed. But like, if I'd got in there, I mean, a much greater strength. I think I would have romped home and probably done pretty well. I really like how this army performs. It's nippy when I'm not failing charges, that is. And it really, I like the 2 units of Iron Guts. They're really quite good. I mean, another possibility is obviously a unit of Man-Eaters, but they are unfortunately rather pricey. So I might have to just get them rather slowly, but maybe convert a few guys up because they are awesome models. I mean. There's some of my favourites of the Ogre range, and I think I should definitely take a few because they look excellent. But I quite like my army composition as it is. I think it performed pretty well. What actually got into combat did perform very well. Unfortunately, obviously the Iron Guts once they'd wiped out the BSB's unit, they did whiff a bit against the Dwarf Lord unit. But that's kind of you expect that when only one guy can attack, basically. It didn't help that I kept rolling a lot of ones, but you know that's unfortunately the way the game is. I think had they been a frontal charge, I would have at least managed to get through a few more of the hammerers. But yeah, that Dwarf Lord is pretty tough. I didn't even bother going against him. We even ran through the maths, and a full unit. Well, that unit of Iron Guts would have done him. I think it was 0.375 on average, 0.375 wounds per round.
Yeah.
Because he's
6 guys attacking him. 6.
Yeah, he's pretty tough. So yeah, I think the only real way around him would be to basically slam everything I had left after mopping up the artillery pieces and stuff, wipe out the hammerers, and then have enough combat res that basically he was going to fail his leadership test and flee. But yeah, that's pretty much the only way I had of dealing with him, other than maybe getting rid of him, getting rid of all the hammerers, and then maybe waiting for the unit that he was in contact with to die, and then trying to cannon him out. But unfortunately, that kind of relies on the fact that, well, it gets around his re-rollable save, but it doesn't get around the juicy ward save that he has. So yeah, he's a tough bugger, but Dwarf Lords are tough. That's what Dwarf Lords are. So yeah, it was a good game though. I did enjoy it. Didn't lose my Slaughtermaster until basically turn 5. So yeah, no, that's
it lasted a lot longer than we thought it was going to.
yeah.
Right down, to the last turn, didn't it?
Yeah, that was pretty damn good. Because obviously, I think if the Slaughtermaster had held and those 2 units of Iron Guts had held, then we might have had to count the points cost more closely. Because then, basically there was nearly 1,000 points. Well, there was over 1,000 points actually with those 2 units. So yeah, I think the game would have been a lot closer. But it was a good game. Had some luck. The cannon really didn't do too well. If I scored that grudge thrower and it hadn't have missed on the first turn, and if the luck had gone the other way and I'd got like killed 3 artillery pieces, so I could have got a grudge thrower, a cannon, and the organ gun.
The grudge thrower in the end blew itself up anyway, so.
Yeah.
So it's kind of calmer. But it would have been less shooting against you.
Yeah, definitely. I think then the dwarves might have started to sweat because obviously if they've only got like a very mediocre gun line, then they might be starting to think, oh dear. But wouldn't to be. I think my shooting of the cannon was pretty average because I hit stuff and it was doing. And I had to get into combat really against the BSB's unit, so it missed out around of shooting there as well. And then obviously when it got sent packing by the Dwarf Lords unit, it couldn't fire. So it was by that point it was kind of I just accepted it was a lost cause anyway. But yeah, all in all, it was a good game. I think that was a very sporting dwarf list because there was a lot. I mean, hammer hordes and a sort of like a massed artillery. It would have been no joke.
Well, to be fair, I think I did have a lot of artillery, but I didn't have like an Anvil of Doom or the rune, ridiculous rune lord.
No, well that's it. I mean, it was good magic defence because you had all the stuff when you really needed it.
Yeah,
so
I think that's enough. I think that was more than enough. 3 dispel scrolls on a rune priest or rune whatever they're called is enough. I think.
Yeah, because obviously, I mean.
But I mean, I think I had quite a powerful list in terms of the artillery. I certainly didn't hold back on that. So you had a tough gig there.
But yeah, it was good fun. I did enjoy that game because I don't mind losing so much because it's when I sort of sit and think about it and think, oh well, tactically if I buggered something up tactics, well, I tend to have a bit of the ump with myself.
Yeah.
But if it's luck, then there's not really much I can do about that. So I just have to put it down to my piss poor luck and carry on for the next game next week. So well, actually, it's going to be probably midweek games as well, 1 or 2, because I'm off on holiday. So I dare say we'll be getting some games in, and I might even consider a game of 40k.
Whoa, yeah,
maybe if I feel up to it. But yeah, all in all, good times. Like I say, we thought we might have to play 2 games tonight, but in the end, it wasn't quite as bad as we expected, and it went well. So we will see you later on next week.